Hello friends, welcome back to Azure. In this video we'll talk about availability set and we'll see a demo as well. So that being said, let's begin the video. Now before we go and talk about availability set, let's first understand what is a resin. So as you can see here, we have a geographical location. So basically it's a country like India or East US or US or Canada. And then so in single geographical location there can be multiple regions like resin 1 and resin 2. Each single resin can have multiple availability zone. For example, resin 1 has two zone, AZ1, AZ2, but resin 2 just has only one availability zone called AZ3. And each availability zone can have one or more data centers. For example, AZ1 has two data centers, data center 1 DC1, and whereas availability zone AZ2 just has only one data center DC1, and each data center has something called fault domain and update domain that you can see here also. So we'll talk about fault domain and update domain later in the video, but I hope you have got an idea about the resin. As we have already discussed about point of failures in the last video, so now we know there could be different regions that could bring your application or your VM down. Now, availability set, what it does, it basically helps you in achieving high availability. Let's see how. Let's talk about a data center, how it looks like. So you can think of a data center having high number of virtual machines. Each single rack can accommodate thousands of VM. Now, to avoid the single point of failure, I can simply go and deploy my application on multiple VMs. For example, I can just go and create two virtual machines and I can deploy my same application, same code on each single VM. So in case if one goes down, I have another VM up and running. Yes, it can make your application up and running, but think of a scenario. For example, you created two virtual machines and by chance if both of your VMs are created or assigned in rack 1 in the same rack, and if there is a problem with the rack itself, your application will not be available even though you have two VMs running, but because your both of the VMs are allocated inside one rack, if the rack itself is down, your application will be down, right? This is a solution but not the perfect one. Now, to make sure that your each single VM is allocated in a different rack, Microsoft has introduced something called availability set. Let's see how it works. So again, this is your data center having multiple VMs. So here in data center, we have something called fault domains and update domains. So basically when you go and create availability set, you have to choose the number of fault domains and the number of update domains. So we'll talk about each one later in the video, but just for the sake of simplicity, let's understand that you have to go and select the number of fault domains. So maximum is 3. For example, I just want to deploy my application on 2. So I will simply go and select 2 fault domains and 2 update domains. Now, what Azure or Microsoft guarantees that when you go and select availability set, it makes sure that each VM gets different fault and update domain. So, for example, if I go and create two virtual machines, my first VM will be allocated in fault domain 1 and second VM will be allocated in fault domain 2. So, if in case something goes wrong with rack 1 or with fault domain 1, I still have one more VM up and running in fault domain 2, right? So this makes my application more highly available, right? All right, now let's talk about fault domain. So as I told you earlier, when you go and create a availability set, you can just go and pick maximum of 3 fault domains. Now let's understand when a fault domain comes into picture. So fault domain, basically you can think of like this is a domain and here is you have your rack having all your having your virtual machine running here in the rack 1 or inside the fault domain 1. Now fault domain comes into picture when there is a problem with the hardware or with the software in the data center. For example, there could be a power outage, there could be a network failure or disk failure. So in case if there is a problem with the fault domain 1, you have another domain in which your application is up and running. So your application is still available. Why? Because as you see here, each fault domain has its own set of network and power, right? So this is an additional step to make sure that your application is up and running. And as I said earlier, you can have 3 fault domains, not more than that as of now. All right, let's move forward. Now let's talk about the update domain. So basically as of now, you can just go and select 20 update domains. Whereas in fault domains, the maximum is 3, but here in update domain, you have 20. Domain comes into picture when you have some sort of planned maintenance like OS upgrade, you have unplanned maintenance like security patch upgrade, or you want to basically fault domain comes into picture when there is unexpected behavior, and update domains comes into picture when you want to update something, when you want to reboot your virtual machine. All right, let's move forward. Try it out. So I'm here at the Azure portal. So let me just go and create availability set. Okay. So if I go, first of all, I have to go and create a resource because I don't have any resource groups. I'll go and create one. And here I have to give my availability set a name. So I'll call it as availability set 01. Location, I'll keep East US. Now, if you see here, fault domains, maximum you can go or you can have is 3. You cannot go beyond that. But if you go and select update domains, you can have 20, right? But for now, for the example purpose, I'll simply go and select 2 fault domains and 2 update domains. And I'll use manage disk yes, right? Let me just go, click next. For now, I'll keep it at default. I'll simply move forward. Running some sort of validation, it's done. Now I can go and create a availability set of 2 domains and 2 update domains. So it is done here. I can just go and verify. As you see here, currently because there is no VM deployed, so I don't see anything under fault domain. I don't see anything under the update domain. But if you see, I have 2 fault domains and I have 2 update domains. Now what I will do is I'll simply go and create a virtual machine. Add one. So resource group, I'll keep same. Virtual machine, for example, I'll call it as test VM01, which is my one. Location, I'll keep same. And here I will just go and select availability set. So here, because we already have this set, I will just select. I'll keep rest of the things as is, disk as is, networking as is, because I just want to show you how availability set works. So I'll simply go ahead and create this particular virtual machine. Let me just go and click on create. Okay, so yeah, it will create. Meanwhile, let's go and create another virtual machine so that we can make use of both of the fault and update domains. Again, I will simply go. I'll follow the same procedure here. I'll go and pick my resource group. This time I will call it as test VM2. Availability options, I'll go and select availability set and the one which we created, availability set 01. Again, OS, I can go and make use of any other, but for now, okay, in the earlier VM, we have used Windows, but this time let's go and select Ubuntu, which is a Linux flavor. Let me just go and create a user. I'll keep rest of the things as is. Okay, all good. Let's go and create the virtual machine. So basically here we are going to have 2 virtual machines. So now we need to wait for a couple of minutes here, maybe around 3 to 4 minutes. So I will pause the video. All right, so now we have all our VMs created, you can see here. So let's go back to the availability set, which is here. Now, if you see here, as I told you earlier, we have two fault domains and two update domains. And if you see here, your virtual machine VM1 is running on fault domain 0 and update domain 0. Basically, is 1, but the number is starting from 0. And our second VM is running on fault domain 2 and update domain, like second one, right? So in case if something goes wrong with fault domain 1, we do have another VM, test VM2, up and running in fault domain 1, right? So this makes your application more highly available. And if you go and select availability set, you have 99.95% of the SLA or guaranteed uptime for your application. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.